Hey, you Bellhop, the sharply dressed man barked, tossing his car keys toward the head of a woman who was definitely not a bellhop. Vera Gaines caught the keys mid-air without flinching, her brows arching in disbelief. She glanced down at her plain black slacks, white button-up shirt, and the navy blazer she'd borrowed from her friend who worked in the hotel's concierge department. Okay, maybe she did look like a bellhop, but still. "Excuse me," she asked, stepping forward, her voice calm but firm. The man, tall, broad-shouldered, and wearing a watch that probably cost more than her entire college degree, arched a brow. "You work here, don't you?" Vera pursed her lips. She was only in the lobby of the Grand Remington because she was helping her friend Maya drop off a laptop to the hotel's manager. She didn't work here, not even close. But before she could correct him, he gestured to his luggage, a sleek, monogrammed leather set, of course, and added, "Just take it up to the penthouse suite. And make sure no one scratches the Aston Martin. Thanks." Vera held up the keys. "You just tossed me keys to a six-figure car without even checking if I work here." The man blinked, finally looking at her face, really looking. His jaw tightened. He started. "No worries," she said, tossing the keys right back to him. "I'm not offended. But you might want to be a little more careful with your assumptions." Before he could respond, she was already walking away, hips swinging with purpose, head held high, and that same signature confidence she'd carried since she was 5 years old and talking her way out of trouble for sneaking candy from the church kitchen. She didn't look back, but he did. Darian Jace was not used to being wrong. Especially not in hotels he practically funded with how often he traveled, and definitely not about people. He watched her walk away, something about her tugging at his attention in a way he couldn't explain. She was beautiful, sure, but it was the way she carried herself, unapologetically bold, like she didn't need anyone's approval, that stuck with him. He turned to the concierge. "Who was that?" The young man behind the desk looked confused. "The woman who just walked off, that's Vera Gaines." "She's not staff. She's friends with Maya, she runs the events division." Darian blinked. Well, that was awkward. Vera didn't think she'd see Mr. Bellhop mix up again, but fate had other plans. The next day, Maya begged her to help set up for a last-minute charity gala the hotel was hosting. Vera agreed, mostly to get out of her tiny apartment and distract herself from the job interviews she kept striking out on. She was adjusting centerpieces when she heard a voice behind her. "You're not a bellhop today either, are you?" Vera turned around slowly. Darian Jace stood there in a tailored midnight blue suit, holding 2 glasses of champagne. His dark hair was effortlessly tousled like he'd just stepped out of a GQ spread, but his expression wasn't smug, it was actually sheepish. "Still haven't forgiven you," she said flatly. He held out a glass. "I come bearing champagne, peace offering." She hesitated, then took it. "1 drink, that's it." "Fair enough." He paused. "You have a way of making a guy feel like a complete idiot." "I don't have to try very hard," he laughed, the sound low and warm. "You're not like anyone I've met." "Good, because I'm not trying to be." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the room fill with people in gowns and tuxedos, the clink of glasses and soft piano music filling the space. "So what do you do when you're not being mistaken for hotel staff?" he asked. "Currently unemployed," she said bluntly. "I used to run marketing for a startup, but they went under. I've been interviewing, but it's been rough." "That's surprising. You seem like the kind of person who'd run the whole building, not just work in it." Vera looked at him sideways. "Is that a compliment or a line?" "Both," he said without hesitation. She laughed despite herself. Over the next week, Vera found herself running into him more than she expected. At the hotel coffee shop, in the lobby, during an event setup, always casual, always unplanned, and always ending with her laughing a little more than she meant to. She didn't know much about him, just that he was rich, clearly powerful, and had a smile that made her feel things she didn't want to feel. She didn't have time for distractions. But one night, after a rooftop hotel gala, she found herself standing beside him again. "Let me take you out," he said. "Why?" Because I haven't stopped thinking about you since I mistook you for a bellhop. She smiled, amused. That's not exactly romantic, he leaned in, voice low. It is if you knew how many women throw themselves at me every day. And yet the one I can't stop looking for is the one who handed my keys back without blinking. Vera swallowed. Just dinner, he said. Nothing fancy unless you want fancy. She narrowed her eyes. Do you always get what you want? No, he said seriously. But I'd really like to get this. Her heart beat faster. Fine, she said. One dinner. It was not just one dinner. Because the next night a black car pulled up to her apartment, a driver stepped out and handed her a box, inside a dress, not just any dress. A designer label she'd only seen in fashion magazines. The kind of dress that made you feel powerful just by zipping it up. A note was tucked inside. You said nothing fancy, I lied. She almost didn't go, but then she did. He took her to a private rooftop restaurant overlooking the city skyline, candlelight, string quartet, steak that melted in her mouth. You said you weren't trying to impress me, she said. I lied about that too, he said. She rolled her eyes, but there was a smile tugging at her lips. And when the evening ended and he walked her to her door, he didn't kiss her. He just looked at her like he already knew. You're not what I expected, he said. Neither are you. And for the first time in a long time, Vera felt something shift, something real, something dangerous. She was falling for the millionaire who'd once thought she was a bellhop, and if she wasn't careful, she might never stop. You brought me to a vineyard, Vera asked, stepping out of the car and glancing around the rolling hills soaked in golden hour light. This doesn't really scream casual second date. Darian adjusted the cuffs of his white linen shirt as he rounded the car to stand beside her. It's not a date, it's a wine tasting with food and a private chef, he paused. And technically this is my vineyard. She stared at him. You have your own vineyard, his voice was mild. I don't run it myself, but yes, you said it wouldn't be fancy. I said nothing at all this time, I figured it was safer. Vera was quiet as she took in the view. Vines stretched in perfect symmetry across the hills, the air rich with the scent of ripening grapes and wildflowers. A long wooden table had been set up under a canopy, covered in crystal glasses and flickering candles already catching the breeze. This looks like a magazine spread, she muttered. It's just dinner with wine, lots of wine. She didn't say anything for a moment, her expression unreadable. He turned toward her. What are you thinking? That I can't figure you out, she said. 1 minute you're flinging keys at strangers, the next you're hosting private vineyard dinners like it's normal. I'm not proud of the first part, he said, but I meant it when I said I wanted to do this right. She folded her arms. Why me? Darian leaned against the car. You don't care who I am. That's not entirely true, she said. I care whether you're a decent person, and she hesitated. Jury's still out. A small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth as he pushed off the car. Then I guess I better plead my case over wine and food. They walked toward the table, passing rows of vines as the sun dipped lower. The chef greeted them politely and disappeared into the kitchen setup nearby, leaving them alone with the view and the quiet clink of glasses being set. Vera sat slowly, running her hand along the smooth wood of the table. You really don't do anything halfway, do you? I've never been good at halfway, he said as he poured her a deep red wine. Halfway gets you halfway results. So, what do you want a full result of? His gaze didn't waver. She blinked, caught off guard, then looked down at her glass. Too much, he asked. No, she said softly, just unexpected. They ate slowly, the courses arriving one by one: goat cheese tart with fig compote, grilled sea bass over saffron risotto, dark chocolate mousse with sea salt caramel. The wine paired perfectly with each dish, but it was the way Darian listened that caught Vera off guard. Every time she spoke, he leaned in just slightly, not in a performative way, but with real focus. So you said you worked in marketing, he said as they finished dessert. Why not start something of your own? Because starting something costs money, she said, and connections, and time. I've got one of those, maybe two, but not all three. Connections I can help with, and funding. Vera sat back. Is this a business pitch now? It's an offer. Not because I think you need me, but because I think what you want to do deserves to exist. She stared at him. I've reviewed hundreds of pitches, he continued. I know the difference between a dream and a plan. You've got both, you just need someone to believe in it. I don't want to date someone who thinks they need to fix my life. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm trying to be part of it. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of lavender and oak. Vera looked away, her throat tight. I'm not used to people meaning what they say, she admitted. I'm not used to people questioning everything I say, he replied. Maybe we balance each other out, she said. Maybe we do. They drove back in silence, Vera watching the stars blur past the windows. When he walked her to her door again, he didn't make a move to follow her in. Instead, he handed her a small box. What is this? She asked. Open it tomorrow, he said. You'll know why, she raised a brow. Cryptic? Just trust me, I'm not great at that. I'm learning how to earn it. He walked away before she could answer, his car disappearing down the street moments later. The next day, the box sat unopened on her kitchen table until noon. She finally caved, untying the ribbon and lifting the lid. Inside was a leather-bound planner, the cover embossed with her initials. Tucked between the pages was a single card. Your ideas belong here. Sooner or later, the world will see them too. D. Vera stared at it, her chest tightening. The planner wasn't flashy. It wasn't expensive-looking. It was intentional. Thoughtful, she closed it and set it aside, then she reached for her laptop and started drafting the pitch deck she hadn't had the courage to write before. 2 days later, she was waiting in the hotel when Maya walked past and did a double take. Is that a new blazer? Maya asked. Yeah, and heels. Maybe, Maya narrowed her eyes. You're glowing, what happened? Nothing, Vera said. But she couldn't stop the grin from breaking across her face. Later that evening, as she walked out of the hotel, she didn't expect to see Darian stepping out of a black SUV, phone pressed to his ear. He spotted her immediately, ending the call without a word. Wasn't expecting to see you here, she said. I was hoping I might. You always hang around the lobby waiting for women, only one. She looked up at him, her expression unreadable. I started putting together my pitch. His eyes lit up. That's good. I'm not sending it to you, she added. Why not? Because if this turns into something real, I want it to be about us, not about business. He stepped closer. And what if I want both? Then you'll have to wait. He studied her face, then nodded. I can do that. She rose on her toes and kissed him softly on the cheek. He blinked, surprised. You're not the only one who can make bold moves, she said. Then she walked away before he could say a word, and this time he didn't look away. Vera stood at the edge of the rooftop terrace, her fingers wrapped around the stem of a chilled glass. The city glimmered beneath her, the skyline glowing against the deepening night. She hadn't planned on attending the gallery opening, but Maya had insisted, and then conveniently disappeared after introducing her to a curator. Now Vera was alone, scanning the crowd of silk and sharp tailoring, wondering if she should have worn something less structured. Footsteps approached behind her. She didn't turn. Didn't expect to see you here, Darian said, his voice lower than usual, almost cautious. Yet you're always exactly where I don't expect you, she replied, lifting her glass but not drinking. You're not avoiding me, are you? I'm not chasing you either. He stepped beside her, his tie loose, expression unreadable. I never thanked you for not treating me like everyone else. I didn't do it for thanks. Then why? Vera finally turned to him. Because I've spent most of my life around people who expect things without earning them. I wasn't going to be one of them. Darian nodded, his gaze drifting to the skyline. You ever think about leaving the city? Sometimes, but I always come back. It's messy, loud, overwhelming, and still, it's mine. I bought a place in the mountains. I go there when the noise gets too sharp. She looked at him carefully. You don't strike me as the retreating type. I'm not, but even storms need somewhere to burn out. Vera tilted her head. You think you're a storm? I think I've left a lot of chaos behind me. For a moment, there was only the wind off the terrace and the soft clink of glasses behind them. Why are you really here tonight? She asked. I meant to come for the art, Darian said. But then I heard you might be here. And you don't believe in coincidence. No, he said, I believe in choices. Vera turned toward him fully now, arms crossed. What are you choosing, you? He said without hesitation. But I know I haven't earned that yet. You think I'm something you win. No, I think you're someone I have to be better for. Her breath caught not from the words but the way he said them, like he wasn't asking for approval, like he was simply offering truth. Don't say things like that unless you mean them, she said finally. I've meant everything since the moment you threw my keys back at me. They both laughed, though hers was quieter. I've been offered a job, she said, eyes back on the skyline. It's out of state, small company. Big potential, his jaw tightened. Are you taking it? I don't know yet. Because of me, she corrected. I need to be sure I'm not running toward something just to escape the fear of standing still. Darian leaned closer, not touching her, but close enough that she could feel the weight of his presence. I'm not asking you to stay for me, he said. I'm asking you to let me be part of whatever you choose. She didn't answer, but she didn't walk away either. Later that evening, Vera found herself in a quiet alcove of the gallery, studying a piece of abstract sculpture when Darian returned, holding 2 espresso cups. I don't do small talk very well, he said, handing her one. Lucky for you, I hate it. They sat on the velvet bench behind them, silence stretching comfortably between them. My father used to bring me to galleries, he said. Said if I could understand the value of silence, I'd understand people better. Did it work? Not for a long time. And now, I'm starting to hear things I wasn't listening for before. She looked at him over the rim of her cup. Like what? Like how you always straighten your posture when you feel cornered, or how you deflect with sarcasm when something actually matters to you. She blinked. You've been paying attention. I learn fastest when I care. Vera didn't know what to say to that, so she drank her espresso instead. I want to show you something, he said suddenly. She hesitated. Where? Not far. She considered him for a long beat before nodding. They left the gallery through the back exit, his car already waiting. The drive was quiet, the city giving way to winding roads and older buildings, until they pulled in front of a storefront with frosted windows and no signage. Darian unlocked the door with a key from his coat pocket. This used to be a bookstore, he said as they stepped inside. I bought it last year but haven't done anything with it yet. The space was dusty but full of charm, arched ceilings, exposed brick, and old wooden floors that creaked with every step. Why show me this? She asked. Because I think it could be something, he said, and I wanted you to see it before anyone else. She walked slowly through the space, trailing her fingers along the old counter. It feels like possibility. That's what I thought too. When she turned to face him, he looked younger, somehow hopeful in a way she hadn't seen before. I want to build something real, he said, not just companies or properties. Something that matters. And you think this is where it starts? No, he said. I think it started the moment I met you. The air between them shifted, heavy with something neither of them had the language for yet. You realize, she said quietly, that if I stay, it won't be because of this place. Or your vineyard. Or your millions, I know. It'll be because of who I am when I'm with you. Then I'll spend every day making sure that person thrives. She stepped closer, not quite touching, but her voice softened. You're not who I thought you were, neither are you. And this time, when he reached for her hand, she didn't pull away. The first snow of the season drifted lazily through the sky, dusting the sidewalks in soft white. Vera stood beneath the overhang of the old bookstore, now stripped to its bones and humming with the beginnings of something new. Inside, the walls had been gutted, the floors sanded, and a faint scent of sawdust clung to the air. She pulled her coat tighter and glanced through the glass, watching Darian speak with 2 contractors. He gestured toward the far wall, his voice calm but decisive. The way he moved, sharp and precise, reminded her how easily he commanded a room, even one still being built. He spotted her and crossed the floor, pushing open the door with his shoulder. You're early. You said you wanted to show me something before the team left. I did. She followed him inside, the air warmer than expected thanks to a temporary heater humming in the corner. I've been thinking about what this space could be, he began, leading her toward the back where sunlight spilled through high windows. And I realized I don't want to build it alone. She paused. I thought this was just a passion project. It was, until you walked through it. Now it's something else. He pulled a rolled-up sheet of paper from a nearby table and unfurled it. It was a floor plan, clean lines, annotated notes, and a bold title across the top, The Gaines Collective. She stared at it. You named it after me. I named it for what you made me believe in, something that brings people together, something purposeful. Her voice was quiet. This wasn't what I expected. I know. But it's what I want. I haven't said I'm staying. I haven't asked you to, he looked at her carefully, but I'm giving you a reason to. She traced the edge of the paper with her fingers. What would it be exactly? A creative hub, he said. Marketing, design, innovation, whatever you want to build inside it. I'll fund it, you'll lead it. She looked up. And what if we fall apart? He didn't hesitate. Then this still stands. It's yours no matter what happens between us. Her throat tightened unexpectedly. Why would you do that? Because I'm not building this for us. I'm building it because I believe in you. She folded the plan carefully and set it back down. You're making it really hard to walk away. Good. Later that evening, Vera stood in her apartment surrounded by boxes. She hadn't made a decision yet, but something inside her had shifted. The pitch deck she'd spent weeks perfecting now sat on her kitchen table, beside an envelope she hadn't opened. She picked it up. The return label was from the company that had offered her the out-of-state job. She knew the answer inside already. Still, she opened it. The terms were generous. The opportunity impressive. The position was hers if she wanted it. She folded the letter and slid it beneath the stack of books she planned to give away. The next morning, she walked into the bookstore before the construction team arrived. Sunlight poured across the unfinished floors. She stepped into the middle of the space and stood still. Her phone rang. Are you there? Darian's voice came through. I am. I'm on my way. I haven't made a decision yet. That's okay. When he arrived, he didn't bring flowers or gifts. He just walked in, took off his coat, and stood beside her. I turned down the job, she said. His eyes searched hers. Because of me? No, because of me. But you were the reason I remembered what it felt like to believe again. He exhaled quietly. So what happens now? I stay. We build something together. You're sure? She reached for his hand. I've never been more sure of anything. That night, he brought her to a quiet rooftop in a building she'd never been to before. To her surprise, it wasn't another restaurant or a gala. It was his home. The penthouse was minimalist, sleek and masculine, with floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased the city like a living painting. But what caught her attention wasn't the space, it was the piano tucked in the corner, clearly used, not just decorative. You play? She asked. Not well. Why keep it then? It reminds me that perfection isn't the point. He led her to the balcony. The city buzzed below them, but up here it was peaceful. I bought this place when I thought success meant isolation, he said. Now I realize it was just a very expensive wall. She leaned against the railing, and now I want to fill it with something real. A soft breeze tugged at her hair. Tell me something you've never told anyone. He was quiet for a moment. My mother left when I was 10, he said finally. I haven't seen her since. Vera's chest tightened. Did you ever try to find her? I did, once. She didn't want to be found. He looked at her. That's why I'm so careful about who I let close now, and why when I do, I don't let go easily. She stepped closer. You don't have to worry about that with me. I know. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small box. Her breath caught. What is that? Something I've been holding onto for weeks. I didn't know if I'd use it. She didn't move. I'm not proposing, he said, opening the box to reveal a simple gold ring set with a small diamond surrounded by sapphires. I'm promising. She stared at it, then at him. I'm promising that I'll show up, that I'll fight for us, that I'll never make you feel like you're something I have to earn. You're already everything. Vera's eyes burned. "You're not what I expected, Darian Jace. And you're everything I never knew I needed, Vera Gaines." She took the ring and slid it onto her finger. "Then let's build something no one expects." He kissed her there, on the edge of the city, with snow beginning to fall again, soft, quiet, and full of promise. And for the first time in his life, Darian Jace didn't feel like he had to prove anything. He already had everything he wanted, her. The soft hum of classical strings floated through the air, echoing across the open space of the newly finished Gaines Collective. The walls were no longer bare but lined with framed artwork, shelves of curated materials, and sleek workstations ready for creativity to ignite. The launch event buzzed with energy founders, investors, creators, and press moving through the space, glasses in hand, exchanging ideas as if it were oxygen. Vera moved through the crowd with quiet command, wearing a tailored forest green jumpsuit that cinched at her waist and flared at the ankle. She didn't need to raise her voice to be heard. People leaned in, listened, and responded like she was already someone they'd been waiting to meet. Her name was on the sign outside the building, but it was more than that. She belonged here, and everyone knew it. Darian stood near the back, watching her from a distance. He wore a three-piece suit, no tie, the top button undone. He wasn't the center of the room, but he didn't need to be. He'd learned to step back, to let her shine without casting a shadow, and she did brilliantly. A woman with a press badge approached him. "Mr. Jace," she said, recorder in hand, "is it true you gave her full creative control from day one?" She didn't need me to give her anything. She was already running the show. "I just handed her the keys." "And you're not worried about walking away from the business side of it?" He glanced at Vera. "Not even a little." The woman blinked, clearly hoping for more, but he excused himself before she could press. He crossed the floor as Vera stepped aside from a group of investors, her eyes meeting his instantly. "You survived the press gauntlet," she said, accepting the glass of water he handed her. "They were more interested in you." It was refreshing. "I thought you liked being the center of attention. I like being where you are." She tilted her head. "You're being unusually quiet tonight. I'm watching you. I'm trying to memorize the moment." "Why?" "Because 2 months ago, this was just an idea. And now you're standing in the middle of it, running the entire ecosystem. I want to remember what it looked like the first time you owned a room you built from the ground up." She reached for his hand, interlacing their fingers. "You helped me build it. I helped fund it. You made it matter." They stood like that for a while, quiet, tethered in a way that went deeper than words. Eventually, Meyer approached with 2 glasses of champagne. "Speech time," she said, barely able to hide her glee. "They're all waiting." Vera groaned softly. "I hate speeches." "You're going to be brilliant," Darian said. "Just say what you believe." She shot him a look. "What if I accidentally say something emotional and ruin my image?" "You don't have an image. You're real. That's why they're here." Moments later, she stood at the front of the room, the soft clinking of glasses bringing the chatter to a hush. The light hit her from the side, catching the subtle shimmer of her earrings and the warmth in her eyes. "I'm not a fan of speeches," she began. "And I'm definitely not used to being the person people gather around to celebrate. But I'm learning that sometimes the best things happen when you stop shrinking to fit into places that were never meant for you." A few quiet nods rippled through the crowd. This space isn't just about innovation. It's not just about launching ideas or scaling brands. It's about creating something sustainable, something that doesn't require sacrificing your identity to succeed. I spent a long time trying to earn a seat at the table before realizing I could build my own. And now, here it is. She glanced toward Darian, who gave her a subtle, grounding nod. "This only exists because someone reminded me I didn't have to wait for permission. So if you're in this room and you've got something to build, consider this your sign. Start. Don't wait for someone to let you. Just begin." Applause filled the room, warm and unforced. She stepped down, handing the mic to the event coordinator, and made her way straight to Darian, who pulled her into his arms without hesitation. "You were perfect," he whispered. "I didn't cry. Not even a little." "Maybe later," she said, "when it's just us." Later came sooner than expected. They left the event before midnight, slipping out through the back door and into the quiet of the night. The car pulled up, but they didn't get in right away. Instead, they stood on the sidewalk, the city alive around them, but their world narrowed to just them. "I have something for you," Vera said, unzipping the side pocket of her clutch. Darian raised an eyebrow as she handed him a small, flat box. He opened it slowly. Inside was a single brass key on a leather cord. "I had it cut for the office," she said, "but it fits more than the front door." He studied it. "What else does it open?" "My second-floor studio, the one I haven't shown anyone yet." "Why me?" "Because you don't just see me. You see what I could be, and you never tried to change me to fit your world. You made space for me in it." He slid the key back into the box and pocketed it carefully. "I've been thinking," he said, taking her hands, "about the mountains." She raised a brow. "Should I be worried? I still go there when I need quiet. But lately I've been wondering what it would feel like to bring someone with me, not to escape something, just to be." "I'd like that," she said. "The quiet, with you." He cupped her face, his thumbs brushing her cheeks. "I love you, Vera." She didn't hesitate. "I love you too." He kissed her then, slow and certain, not like a question but an answer. The car door opened behind them, but neither of them moved. "Where to?" the driver asked after a moment. Vera leaned into Darian's side. "Home," she said. "Take us home." Months later, the Gaines Collective was thriving, with clients flying in from across the country. Vera's studio upstairs had become a creative sanctuary, filled with light and vision boards and the kind of energy that made people believe again. Darian spent more time there than he ever expected, his own business ventures woven around the rhythm of her world. Their relationship wasn't perfect, but it was honest. They argued. They pushed each other. They laughed at all the wrong things and danced barefoot in her kitchen. They made their own rules equal, intertwined. On a quiet Sunday morning, Vera stood in the studio barefoot, wrapped in one of Darian's button-down shirts. She was painting something she hadn't done in years when Darian came up behind her, arms wrapping around her waist. "You're up early," he murmured against her neck. "I had a dream," she said, "that we were old and still here, still doing this. Sounds about right." She turned to face him. "You think we'll still be here in 50 years? I think wherever you are, that's where I'll be." She touched his face, thumb grazing the faint stubble on his jaw. "You know what I want more than anything?" "What?" "For this moment to last forever." He leaned in, pressing his forehead to hers. "Then let's never stop choosing it." And they didn't. They built a life not out of grand gestures or perfect plans, but out of days like that, quiet, deliberate, filled with love they never had to question. Because when you give someone the space to be fully themselves and love them anyway, that's not just romance. That's forever.